Hey friends, welcome back to the show. When we talk about changing your health habit, it's not just about drinking more water, introducing a new workout routine, eating more fruits and veggies. It's about breaking these old patterns and behaviors that we've been doing for many years and that have been ingrained into us. For women, you have that added bonus as you approach midlife that now you have all these hormonal changes that are taking place as well. And that can make the process of undergoing any health journey or any health change feel frustrating, feel discouraging, and feel very overwhelming. The truth is that when you're making any change, but in particular a health change with all of these other things happening, it can oftentimes feel much harder before you get to that place where it starts to feel like it's easy and manageable. If you've ever started a new habit and you're so excited to engage in it, only to feel unmotivated in a few weeks, you're not alone. The key is understanding why it feels so hard at the beginning and how to push through that discomfort so that you can get to the other side and so that you don't give up right before you are on the verge of a breakthrough. So today's episode, we are going to talk about embracing the journey, why it feels hard, and some things that you can do to stay with it when it feels uncomfortable, and what to do when it feels uncomfortable so that you can get to the other side and feel like you have more control of your health. Remember, if you're a woman over 40, to go over to trishard.com and grab your freebie, 5 things you should be doing today if you are over 40. Welcome to the Whole Health Empowerment Project podcast. This show is for women over 40 who are trying to create balance in their life when it comes to food, body, self-care, and wellness. You struggle to put yourself first, to maintain consistency when something isn't perfect, or maybe you feel like you don't have enough time or willpower to achieve the goals you desire. I'm your host, Trisha Stefankowitz, registered dietitian, nutritionist. I've worked with women like you achieve their goals by focusing on the next best step, no matter how messy, and meeting you where you are right now. In this show, you'll learn practical information, actionable strategies, and mindset tweaks so that you can feel healthier, more comfortable in your body, and make choices that work for your life. Come join me in failing forward, one imperfect step at a time, into the journey of health, wellness, and self-care. Welcome to your new project. Let's talk about why change feels so hard at first once you get past that phase of no longer feeling motivated. Old patterns are very comfortable to our brain. This is the first thing, that your brain thrives on routine. Even when those routines aren't serving you the way that you want them to be, when you're reaching for some kind of sugary snack, when you are feeling discomfort or you're stressed, or when you're skipping workouts because you feel too tired or just don't feel like doing it. That's a familiar pattern to your brain. And changing that pattern requires rewiring your brain, which takes time and consistency. I did a podcast episode probably a couple of years ago now on neuroplasticity. So if this brain rewiring is something that you want to dig deeper into, you can find a whole bunch of information on the topic of neuroplasticity. When it comes to your brain, in terms of simplifying this, its primary job is to keep you feeling safe and conserving your energy. That's why it prefers routines that are familiar to it and behaviors that are familiar to it, because they require less mental effort. So your body's always, or your brain is always going to default to what is comfortable for you. When you try to make a change, you try to do a new behavior, a new habit, a new routine, your brain can perceive this as a threat and trigger some form of resistance against that. That's why a lot of times it's so easy to come back to our old behaviors, especially at times when we are being challenged or there's other things going on, because it's your brain's way of preserving what it already knows. And to come back to that old habit is very comfortable and it feels automatic. While if you're trying to form a new habit or a new routine or a new behavior, it requires conscious effort and it doesn't feel as automatic. It feels much more difficult to your brain. But the more that you repeat a new behavior, the more your brain adapts and then makes that new habit feel more natural. The more you do it, the easier it will get over time. The second reason why change feels so hard at first is that there isn't that immediate payoff. There isn't that instant dopamine hit that we all want. Unlike quick fix diets or something that will get you there really fast but won't sustain you for the long term, lasting change takes time. It takes time because you're forming these new pathways, you're forming a new behavior, you're trying to figure out what's going to work for you and what isn't going to work for you. And because you don't see immediate results, it can feel discouraging. And oftentimes we give up because we don't see the result that we want. For women, it tends to be the number on the scale. And that may take some time to get to where you want to be. So for many people, if they can't see the immediate result of their efforts, then it's hard to continue to do the efforts unless you can kind of see the bigger picture here. But real transformation typically takes time. It happens beneath the surface first. There's things that are happening within your body before you get to a place where it's going to reflect somewhere outwardly. There are things that are happening on a cellular level in your body, things that are happening to your metabolism, things that are happening to your muscles, things that are happening in your mindset. And then your body just needs to kind of catch up and gradually get to a place where it responds. So oftentimes, because it's not an immediate response for what we're doing, for the effort, sometimes that can take us away and may make us feel like having this change is really hard. And it may even have us questioning what we're doing. Why are we doing this if we don't see the payoff in the time that we think we should see it within? And then the third reason why change feels so hard at first is because there is this emotional resistance that often kicks in. For many women, probably for you, for me, for all of us, there is an emotional connection that's tied in with the health habits that we are doing, that we are trying to do, that we're working towards. For many women, food isn't just about fuel. It's comfort, it's celebration, it's social, it's stress relief. It offers a lot of different things to a lot of different women. Exercise might feel right now like punishment to you instead of a sense of empowerment that if you're able to stick with, it will probably feel like in the future. And these emotions can create resistance within you when you're first trying to change because it feels uncomfortable. And it may make it very easy for you to go back into an old habit that you're trying to change. So when you're creating these new health routines, it's important to understand that this is some of the resistance that you may come up against and that it's okay. It's part of the process. It's part of the journey to get you to where you need to be. And I think as women, we feel so uncomfortable with this resistance, with all of these things, that it doesn't feel easy because for so many things in our life, we have this invisible burden of all these other things that feel hard, that making a health change is just another, can feel like another burden when you're already feeling like the weight of the world falls on you. But I want you to understand that there are some ways that you can push through it and that you don't have to continue with the health that you have now if you don't want it, that there are some ways to trudge through and to navigate all of these feelings when it does feel like it's too hard for you. The first one, and I think this is the one that probably can be the most groundbreaking, is expect discomfort and move through it. For so many of us, I think we just want it to be easy, that it's almost like we forget that it's going to be uncomfortable. And then just that sense of discomfort can distract us from where we're going. But if you're able to see that discomfort doesn't mean that you're failing, that it's a sign that you're changing, then that's going to help you keep going. Let me repeat that. Discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're changing. Instead of fighting it, acknowledge it. Remind yourself that this is all part of the process. And every time you push through, you're reinforcing a new pattern, a healthier pattern, and something that is more in line with who you want to become. When you're able to push through this discomfort, you're retraining your brain to adapt to the new behavior that you're trying to form. Your brain is wired to always seek pleasure over pain. So when a new habit feels hard, your brain is naturally going to want to revert to stopping it, to feeling more comfortable, to doing whatever makes it feel more familiar. But each time you resist that urge to quit and you keep moving forward, you're strengthening that neural pathway and you're closer to getting to the goal that you're trying to achieve. And then remember, over time, these pathways, the more you practice this new behavior, become stronger. And then over time, it'll win out over the old ones that have been in place. At the beginning, those new behaviors are going to feel hard, but the more you do it, the more automatic that behavior is going to come and the easier it's going to feel. And this is the science, again, of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt through repeated action. The discomfort you feel is your brain rewiring itself for long-term success. So remember, when we talk about this idea of expecting discomfort is part of the process. Discomfort does not mean failure. Discomfort means that you're changing and that you're getting closer to where you want to be. But I think the key here is that you expect it, that you know it's not going to feel that great, but I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, think about something that you've done in the past that has become automatic for you. I'm sure if you look back at that behavior, it wasn't something that came naturally to you. It may not have felt as uncomfortable as some of the behaviors that you're trying to form now, but there was probably a period where you were having some kind of resistance or you just didn't feel like it came easily. But over time, the more you practiced it, the easier it became. And I suspect now it's part of your life that you don't even think anything about it. And that's the goal that we're trying to get to with whatever change you're trying to do now, is that you expect discomfort, but that you keep trudging through so that your brain can be rewired so that you can get to a place that it's easier for you and that over time you're able to keep trudging towards your goals. The second thing to do when it feels like it's too hard to make this behavior change is to focus on these small, sustainable goals. We talk a lot on here about starting with small goals, because one of the things that small goals do is it reinforces a victory. So if you set a goal and you achieve it, it reinforces to yourself that you can do it. You continue to have this belief in yourself that you follow through with it and that you can achieve it. When you set these smaller goals, they feel more manageable the more you achieve it, and then you start to gain this confidence in your ability to make changes. One of the things that can be really hard, especially with health changes, is that it takes some time to get to the goal that you're trying to achieve. So if you set this big goal and it just takes such a long time to get there, then it's hard for you to every day wake up and feel like you're believing in yourself and that you have this confidence, because it takes a long time to get there. But if you're able to set these smaller goals, and they can be really small, like adding more protein to your breakfast, adding more protein to your day, drinking more water, all of this, as you start to achieve the little goals, it creates and builds more momentum to set you up for the longer term success that you're trying to achieve. As you start to achieve these small goals, you get more confidence, you feel more motivated, and it makes it easier and clearer to see what the next step is. Over time, these small wins that you have are compounded by bigger wins and then lasting transformation. So rather than feeling overwhelmed by an entire lifestyle haul that will take some time to get there, you're essentially, when you take these small goals, you're creating the small foundation and setting yourself up for success one step at a time. So you're creating your own journey with these little steps that you're making. And the other benefit in this, when we're talking about rewiring your brain, is that this approach helps you rewire your brain so that it can start to associate change with accomplishment rather than struggle. And then as you start to feel that way, it makes the long-term health habits feel more attainable and more enjoyable and more successful, because you're able to navigate through the small changes. You're able to pivot to what works individually for you so that you're like, okay, this works for me. I figured it out. Let me get to the next step. And then over time, as you move on to the next step and the next step, you're able to move closer to the goal that you desire. The third thing that you can do when it feels really hard, when you're making a new health change, is start thinking about your mindset here. Instead of like being in this place where you feel like, oh, I have to do this workout today, I have to get this done, which I know you all feel, we all feel it, I feel it too. Thinking about how lucky you are that you're able to have the body that you have, whether you like it or not, but that like you get to do this for yourself. It's like reframing this into something that feels like a chore, into something that is a perspective of self-love and self-care and self-respect, that you deserve to feel stronger and you deserve to feel energized and you deserve to feel more confident and to be able to make these health changes that you want to do, that you are enough, that you're worthy, that your body, no matter what it looks like, is worthy of these things. And kind of get to a place that instead of punishing yourself for the way that you have treated your body for these past couple of years, which may or may not have resulted in what you feel like your body looks like now, instead of that approach, taking an approach that, what can you do to love and respect your body and to help your body get to where you want it to go for the next couple of years of your life? Start thinking about it in a way that you are providing something to your body versus punishing it from things in the past, and looking at it as a way of, how is it going to help you move forward into the future? What are some of the goals that you have set for yourself for the future? And how can you get your body prepared to help get you to those goals? If you want to travel more, what can you do to help your body get to that goal so that you can meet that goal? Do you need to become stronger? Do you need to walk more? What is it that's going to help you? Do you need to eat more protein so that it can support you as you start to do these things that are important in your life? Really starting to think about what it is that you want your body to feel. Do you want it to feel stronger? Do you want it to feel more energized, more confident? Do you want to give up on the punishment phase and move to a place where you're able to find some body neutrality and possibly even body love? So start thinking about what that mindset is that you want to project onto what your body looks like now and what it is that you want it to achieve in the future. Number 4 here is also giving yourself grace. All of this desires some form of perfection when it comes to our body, but perfection shouldn't really be the goal. The goal should be that you're making progress, that every day you feel like your body is able to do more than it maybe did the day before. We know, and you know, that some days feel much harder to do the things that you want to do. So instead of beating yourself up over any of the setbacks that you have, viewing this as an opportunity for learning. If you feel like you've eaten more than you wanted to eat the day before, trying to explore some of these ideas. What triggered you? How can you handle it next time differently? And then keep moving forward. So many of us women do this thing where we hold on to, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I made this mistake. I can't believe that I ate all those chips last night or ate all those brownies or whatever it is for you. But we've been doing that for so long, right? But it doesn't get us anywhere. It just keeps us in this cycle of repeating this behavior that we don't love that we're doing. So what is the antidote to that? Well, I think it's giving yourself grace. If you're able to give yourself grace, kind of think about, okay, I did that because I was tired. I did that because I was hungry. Then you don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to keep going through that cycle of, I can't believe I did this, and then repeating that cycle over and over again and staying in that cycle for maybe a day or 2 days. If you're able to just be like, okay, I did it because I was hungry, then you can move out of that cycle. You don't have to continue it. You have a choice in that. And one of the ways that you have the choice is to give yourself grace and to just move forward. And I think for women, we've been doing that old pattern of beating ourselves up for so long that it just comes natural, it feels comfortable, it feels familiar. But start thinking about if you need to hold on to that anymore, or can you do something differently? Can you start to give yourself grace? Can you get out of that pattern quicker? Can you figure out how you can handle it differently this time? And then just keep moving forward. Because we know what that old behavior looks like. Why not try something new? And that's going to probably make us feel better a lot quicker, that we don't deserve to stay in that old pattern anymore, that we deserve more than that because we've been doing it for too long. And it doesn't benefit us in any way anyway. Giving yourself grace is a big one. And I think that's one that probably most women need to practice. I know for myself, I do too. And then lastly, some things to think about when it feels really hard to do this new behavior change is to find your why. Why are you doing and making this change? And keep digging deeper because, again, motivation is going to maybe get you a teeny tiny way, is going to bring you a tiny bit forward maybe in your goals. But when you're able to keep digging deeper into the reason why you want to make change, this is what's going to keep you going. And oftentimes you have to kind of push through the vanity metrics at the beginning that your body and that your brain's going to tell you, I want to look better. I want to look good in a bathing suit. If you keep digging deeper into your why and asking yourself the reason why you're making this change, it's probably going to be much deeper. It might be something like you want to feel more energized for your kids. You want to have more energy to take care of your parents as they age. You want to prevent a health issue that maybe plagues your family or is plaguing you. You want to simply feel better and more confident in your own skin. Keep digging into that because this is going to be a front and center reminder of why you're working as hard as you are to achieving this goal. Finding your why can take a long time, but I think if you're able to just kind of dig a little bit deeper, we all kind of have an understanding of why we're doing it. But I think sometimes it's really helpful to have that on the forefront of your brain because then that's the bigger thing. I'm doing this because when I retire, I want to be able to, again, travel. I want to be able to take care of my parents. I want to live my life and not feel like this sluggish person. I want to actually live. I don't want to come home and just watch TV. I want to go for a walk afterwards. It's going to remind you in those times when you don't want to do anything and you're feeling particularly unmotivated about why you're doing this. And that's going to be a bigger motivator than anything to keep you going and to keep navigating all of this when it feels like it's too hard. There is a reward for pushing through all of this when you're making a health change, because at some point, the hard part is going to fade and your new habits are going to become second nature to you. You're going to start noticing that you have more energy, that you're making healthier choices without thinking about it. You're going to start moving your body in a way that you enjoy. And that's when you're going to realize that the hardness and that behavior change that felt so difficult at the beginning was actually worth it. Change takes time, it takes patience, it takes self-compassion. And if you find yourself struggling right now, keep going. The easier part is just ahead of you, that the hard part was starting in the first place. And you have to learn how to trust the process. And as you start to trust the process, you're going to trust yourself more. And you're going to believe that you can start to do this because you've navigated some of the difficult time that you may have had at the beginning. When it comes to your health, remember that it's your journey. There is no perfect timeline for transformation. There is nobody who is telling you that you have to get there quicker except yourself. Your journey is uniquely yours. It's you against you. So every step that you take that's moving you forward is closer to the goal that you're trying to achieve. I want to remind you today that you're doing a great job. So just take a deep breath and embrace the challenge and remind yourself that it's always going to feel harder at the beginning, and that the more you keep showing up for yourself, the more you keep doing that behavior that feels hard today, the easier it will get. And the easier part is coming to you. I thank you guys so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found value in this podcast, please rate, review, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends. Together, we can take tiny, imperfect steps towards creating the whole health we desire and deserve. Don't forget to grab your freebie. You can find the link in your show notes or over at triciard.com. I'll see you back here next week.